what they say is emotion releases emotion. And sometimes you'll see if someone's walking along next to you, they'll tell you stuff that they may not have got to the point of wanting to tell you, at least yet, in a clinic session or ever. But where they're just looking straight ahead, they'll tell you more, and things are coming up for them that maybe wouldn't.
Amos Madra.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am joined by Nicola Euesden, psychotherapist, counsellor. It sounds amazing. And she's got an incredible story. I cannot wait to get into this. Nicola, a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me.
So, Nicola, psychotherapist. I mean, that sounds incredible. I mean, just the things I can imagine you have to deal with. How did you become a psychotherapist?
Well, actually, I got interested from a very young age. I realised that I used to like helping people, or almost got me in trouble. My mum would say, "That's nothing to do with you. Keep your nose out," sort of thing. And so I think I knew really deep down that I like to help people. So when I sort of grew up or whatever, and I had my friendship group around me, I wasn't really aware that they, I didn't actually know I was their go-to. And one day my friend said, "Oh, you must train to be, a counsellor, because that's what we call you." And I said, "Oh my God, I didn't realise that." She went, "Oh no, behind your back, we all say, get round to Nikki. She'll help sort you out. She'll put it into perspective for you." So that was sort of in my early 20s. So I started sort of getting into my training then.
Incredible. And I think there's a lot we can take away from that. First of all, listen to your mum, because she'll always advise you. Mums are always right. Secondly, surround yourself with the right people. You gave a lot to them, but ultimately you got back, from that friendship, and the fact that it led to your purpose, your calling, to what you do today. You have a passion for it. You enjoy what you do. Surrounding yourself with the right people, great value in that. And here you are today. Were you always that sort of person who had empathy for people, had time,
always
listen?
Born with it.
Yeah, incredible. And that's interesting, you said you were born with it, because I think sometimes there's the debate as well, isn't there? Are you born with these skills, or do you develop these skills?
Yeah, well, I suppose I wouldn't know, but I don't remember not being interested in people and, wanting to sit and listen, or, and definitely being aware of people's feelings, soaking up good and bad emotions within the family, for all of us, of anyone being brought up in a family. So I was aware, obviously with my training now, my memories all go a long way back to feeling other people's feelings.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes that's the difficulty in it, because with your job, you do have to be objective. You can't, have empathy for them, but then not get caught into the emotions of the situation, because you've got to give them a solution to what they're facing. How do you remain objective? How do you keep your emotions out of it, but yet at the same time having compassion?
Well, what I do is part of the work really is, because people say to me, "Well, how do you must have had some awful sad stories. How do you leave it in the room, shall we say?" Well, for me, I'm there to facilitate that person to gain some strength, some insight, to pull on their strengths, shall we say. So that's what I'm there for. So part of the training, because I'm getting on 30 years, I've been doing this sort of work, is that I do my notes, I'll fold the notes after, and then I'm on to my next person. So, and if I won't say that I don't worry about my clients, because I will think about them. But if I was particularly worried about a client, I will have to check myself and go, right, what's going on for me here? Have I picked something up that they haven't told me? Picking up on something else, or is it something that's bringing up for me? That's why, as a therapist, it's important we have to have a supervisor. As a psychotherapist, we have to have a supervisor that we see for every certain amount of clients regularly. So I see my supervisor every 2 weeks, and I have my own therapist. So for things that come up, I can bring my best self to my client.
That's really interesting. I never realized you yourself would have to,
Yeah.
see a therapist and, your
Mm.
supervisor again,
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, to be qualified, should we say, back when I was qualifying, I had to have at least 50 hours of personal therapy and 150 hours of voluntary work. So obviously, that's like, say, I have a client who comes in. If I hadn't worked on my own stuff, and I had a client that came in and said, "Look, oh, my dad did this or whatever," and I'm like, "Oh, Christ, so did mine." Now for example, you get caught really off guard and you can't really help that person. Whereas if I've had my therapy and you also get the feeling of what therapy can do. So to get your qualification, you have to have counselling yourself. And I had a student come to me recently and she said that, it's very much, yeah, I'm fine because I'm going to be a therapist, but I have to do these 10 sessions with you, say, to be qualified. And at the end, she sent me a lovely message and she said, if I can only give one person what you give to me in one of our sessions, I know I want to do this job. So, it's you got to want to do it.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that's the thing as well, isn't it? You're changing people's lives, you're impacting people. You are making a difference. When you hear those stories, what does that do for you?
It fills me up. When I hear that it's helped.
Yeah, no. When you've made that impact, yes.
Oh, it's enough. There's no enough. You can't describe it. It gives me everything. I mean, it is my dream job. To help people. To say, I love some lovely testimonials from people saying, I don't know where I would be. But it's just because I had a client earlier and she was really upset about something that was going on. And she said, "Oh my God, I feel so much better now." Because I just like to say to my clients, let's flip that. This is one of my things I'll say. Well, you're telling me this. You're telling me he came in and he said that and he accused you of that. Let's flip that. What was going on? Is that really you? And what about how strong you are that you're sitting there telling me about it? So it's like, no, it can give you like a bit of a jolt and you're like, well, yeah, hang on a minute. I've got this. I can go on to the next thing that's coming my way.
And I like that because you're picking up on the strengths of those individuals who come to see you and you're trying to move them forward. You're trying to get them to progress. And I think sometimes the difficulty is we're trying to hold back onto the very things that brought us into that situation.
Exactly.
And you're trying to move them on. How do you deal with that? I can imagine there has to be a lot of patience and there has to be a lot of compassion. But at the end of the day, your goal is to move them on. How do you find that balance to let's move on? I know what you're going through, you're suffering, but let's move on.
Well, what I would do is I would tentatively, if say a client would repeat the same stuff, I'd say, look, just to let you know, I'm just going to give you a little recap. You have said that before. Why do you think you didn't get to the point where you wanted to move on or sort that out in that certain way? And they'll go, oh, because of that. And then we'll re-look at, maybe I call it roadblocks. So say I've had a lady and she worried about financial situations. And I said, well, how about if you speak to the Citizens Advice, ask them this, this, and this. And she said, I'm making notes, Nikki, I'm making notes. So I said, okay, so when we spoke again, I said, how did you get on? Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, okay, fine. Why do you think you didn't do it? What do you think was stopping you? And I call that a roadblock. So the roadblock's there. So what is it that's going to stop you? How can we get around it? Because we know around the roadblock, something's better. There's a bit more emotional freedom, a bit more self-trust. Because when anyone comes to you who needs therapy, they've lost their self-trust. And I don't think you spoke about enough. If something goes wrong or someone lets us down, we lose trust in them. But what we really forget is we've lost self-trust, trust in ourselves that we could be right about something. Yeah. So I do a lot, I work a lot with that with my clients and I go, right, okay, this is about self-esteem. It's about believing in yourself again, that when you say something's wrong, yeah, it is wrong. When you get your instinct, like your gut, that's telling you, trust it, and I just, one of the things I really learned from my training Amos, was when I was first volunteering, and a guy came to me, and I could see how people can literally, it's like coming out of the chrysalis, they can change within therapy. Like a guy came in and he was all hunched over, and he hadn't dressed himself really that well, and he came in, and a lot of his problems were around his dad. I'm going back, God, 20 odd years. And he was around his dad anyway. We spoke about it. I gave him a safe space to speak about it. He could trust me. We built up trust, obviously, which is something you do with a client. He could tell me things, and he knew that would never leave the room. Yeah. And by the end of his sessions, he had a certain amount of sessions with me. As he walked out, I thought, wow, he was smart. He looked taller. He was a better colour. And it's because he was breathing better. You know, he felt a little bit better about himself. And I was like, wow, that is what he can do. You know, that is really, you know, what you can offer people. So I can't put a price on that.
Amazing stuff. Just to think, you know, again, you're saving people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, the NHS are working with you as well now, because obviously they can see the value in it. When we think about where things are today, the cost of living crisis, you know, fuel issues, crisis, so many things that are going on around us today, which, you know, can again put us, you know, put our spirits down. But again, it's important for people like yourselves to come and lift people's spirits up. You know, talk to us about your work. You know, I know you can't go into detail in terms of what you do, but just give us a little snippet in terms of how you came about to work with the NHS and again, the things that you're doing.
Well, with the NHS, I used to work with an agency, and the agency supplied us, so we would go out as an agency, and then we'll go out and help in GP surgeries. So I would be the resident counsellor that, right, okay, somebody goes to the doctor and says, I'm feeling a bit low, all right, we'll go and see Nikki, we'll book you in with Nikki on a Tuesday, and they'll work with whatever medication they need. From that, I built up my own private practice where I like to think of it as affordable therapy. Well, obviously that's a broad term nowadays, but I could charge a lot more, but I don't want to. I want people to be able to afford it. I want them to be able to afford the messages. The get the right message from their therapy, that they can, you know, see me for as long as they need to, you know, rather than, oh God, you know, I'm going to have to leave it out this week. I offer walk and talk therapy, so that some people, you like to just get out in the fresh air. That can be good for people that are, you know, not getting out, lonely. So I did a lot of that in the lockdown when we were allowed to go out. And what they say is motion releases emotion. And sometimes you'll see if someone's walking along next to you, they'll tell you stuff that they may not have got to the point of wanting to tell you, at least yet, in a clinic session or ever. But where they're just looking straight ahead, they'll tell you more, and things are coming up for them that maybe wouldn't. I work online. I have clients all over the world. I've got clients in Guatemala, Norway, France, LA, Vietnam. Yeah, so obviously working online, it's, you know, it's opened up.
Incredible stuff. And clearly you're good at what you do with these clients all overseas, everywhere in the world. And the walking therapy, you know, that intrigued me. And I think you've just kind of answered that question. The fact that, you know, it's like you're walking to freedom. You're walking to, you know, escaping from that trap that you were in. And I think, as you said, you know, just eloquently put it there, motion releases emotion. That's so beautiful. You know, talk to us about nature and how we can apply that to what we do. Moving, because we are made to move.
Of course, yeah.
How that can help us.
Yeah, well, to get out as well, because obviously with the, you know, dare we say lockdown, I say we are made to connect. Yeah, we need the connection. So even so, we weren't allowed out. So say just to go out on a walk now is, I would say to somebody, so if somebody's feeling really anxious, I'll occasionally stop them mid-walk and say, right, you're here, we're this size, feel your shoulders, feel the size you are, look at that building over there, start to feel the size you are in it all. And you start to release some of this anxious energy, like, wow, big world, look at the size of the sky, look at the clouds, you know. And you may think that it would make you think, oh my God, I'm so small, I can't cope. But actually, it helps you breathe. You're like, do you know what? It's a big world. You know, I'm out here, look at the beauty, look at the busyness, look at all these other people, you know, and it's good. It's a good thing. I think it really works with some clients. Really, you know, it's their go-to. They want to do it.
That's amazing. I don't think I'll look at a skyscraper the same again.
No, but I also work in the community as well. So I do community walks on a Sunday. I've been working with Jeff Brazier for about a year, where we'll get people out, and we, you know, that grows. We've been moving those around, so we're hoping that's going to grow, and that's been amazing because we've got people that it's free. We get up on a Sunday. I mean, one of the guys come out in his pajamas the first week. He, you know, he'd not been out. You know, he was, you know, it's amazing what you give to these people. You know, I've had people sort of almost hiding behind a tree. And I've said, did you want to come with us on the walk? And they're like, oh, I'd love to join. I just didn't know what it was about. And then within weeks, they've got new friends. They're looking forward to seeing each other. They've got a little WhatsApp group where they're talking. One of my favourite stories is I said to one of the ladies, oh, I saw your friend the other day, your friend Sue, you know. She didn't come today, and she said, oh no, she's got a job in a little boutique around the corner. I said, oh lovely. I said, how long have you two known each other? She went, oh no, we met here. I was like, oh my God, I would have thought they've known each other 20 years. But just this act of getting out and walking and talking and sharing of stories, and you know, it's priceless.
Amazing. You know, you're doing an incredible job connecting people. How can we connect with you? You know, what have you got planned in the future as well?
Well, in the future, we're going to do more walks. We're hoping to the community walks around the country eventually. With me, I work with people contact me through my Instagram or Facebook, and I can book online sessions or walk and talk. And yeah.
Fantastic. We'll put all the descriptions, all the links in the description so that the audience can connect with you.
Lovely.
And reach out to you. Well, Nicola, it's been an incredible opportunity to talk to you today.
Thank you.
You know, your story is remarkable, the difference that you're making in people's lives. You've impacted me.
Oh, that's lovely.
I feel like I've had a free session here as well.
Oh,
you know,
lovely.
You're amazing. We celebrate you. Thank you so much for the amazing work you do. Continue the great work you're doing. And we'll continue to celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.